So as you can see, and it's just weird that within the 14-day period after reset, the whole government falls right into next Sabbath, which is the Passover, according to the heavens, according to how the Passover was worked before the Romans came in and destroyed time. And then the Passover, then you have a 7-day unleavened bread, which is 14 days before the Romans came in and destroyed time. And then the Passover, then you have a 7-day unleavened bread, which is 14 days.
All right, Shalom. This is Ahara One by Yasha Allah of the Lions Den Camp. I want to say Kal Halayim, La Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Harakah Kodash, Ma'amah. Double honor to the elder apostles of GMS and the elders, and Shalom to you, Akim and Akwatim and children that believe in sincerity and truth around the four corners of the earth. Hey, man, you heard it for yourself, man. See, that's why you got to go through. Scriptures say what? Judge every tree by its fruits, man, and use discernment. All right, try the spirit by the spirit. Okay. And every time you hear these false prophets, you got to put that fine-tooth comb on your ear and filter everything they saying, all the bullshit they saying. All right. And those that are in the know, you can see clearly where this guy, Rakah of GOCC, went off again. All right. Now he's saying that the Passover is separate from the Feast of Unleavened Bread. He said, first you have the Passover, then you have the Feast of Unleavened Bread, and then you have your 14 days starting the leavened bread. And that's wrong. That's off. You know, if he had understanding, you wouldn't just read Leviticus 13 dealing with that ordinance or the Passover and the unleavened bread. You would have to go to Exodus when the situation actually happened. And on the night of the Passover, they had to eat their bread without leaven in it. That started the unleavened bread, man. At that evening, the 14th day of the evening. All right. And then you go 7 days to take you to the 21st day at evening. But if you go according to his calculations, Rakah, whatever his name is, he's adding on a day. All right, just basically just going off. So his whole focus is money. His whole focus is to will you in. All right, just like all these false prophets, man, that try to make merchandise of their people. Like the guy Quanath. I saw a video with him earlier. He was soon as he had a live video, first comment he put in the chat was, "Hey man, donate to this, donate to that." It's like, what the hell, man? So you can just tell, man, because their doctrine be watered down, all right, and be shaky, and you can find holes in it, all right, big holes. Now it says Isaiah 8:20, to the law and to the testimony, if they speak not according to this word, it is because there is no light in them. All right, they might have money. They might be wolves in sheep's clothing. All right. They might look like prophets, but they're not. Well, he don't even look like a prophet, but, you know, they're not. He might have the whole facade set up. The little church-looking outfits he be wearing, right? And the church and the staff, and he say elders. So he be like, yeah, man, all the elders are meeting, and I'm in here talking to you guys. I just want to tell you, man, we're trying to bring all you people in from around the world, and so we can contact all this bullshit. Man, break the scriptures down right, man. All right, all of that shit don't mean nothing. Community, money, all they telling people they can get the vaccine. You know, the best way to get it and get tested. Like, you know, I don't know if you're telling people to get the vaccine, but He's telling people to go get tested. And if you go get tested, that's where they're going to say you have COVID. Because this is the trick. They're telling anybody to come in to the office to be tested, the testing sites, only if you have COVID symptoms. Now, silly ass is going down there out of fear, and they're getting tested, and they're being put in the system as having COVID symptoms. It's right there in front of everybody's face. So people like Rakai, he's pushing people into that, sending his sheep to the slaughter, the Lord's sheep. All right, so let's read the scripture, man, in Exodus. I guess I'll start from here, Exodus 12:1. We're going to see clearly if you read it, and this dude called himself an elder. If you read it, it's clearly saying that the unleavened bread feast starts on the night of the Passover, the night of the Passover, the night we were delivered out of Egypt. All right. And now, so let's read it. Exodus 12:1. And Yahweh spake unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, This month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you, right? Which would be the month Abib or Abyabah, right? And months, you tell that by the moon. So this moon, this new moon that was happening, all right? It should read, this moon shall be unto you the beginning of moons. So it'll be like the new moon, right? Of that month, which would be around April or March, April, or May. So you had the Passover somewhere in those months. All right, in springtime, that's what it means to spring. And that's around the time Yahushua was born, all right? And around the time he died, around the Passover. So, and now, so this is the first month for us. Why? Because when we came out of Egypt, we were still under the Egyptian calendar. But does that mean the new moon was not in place? No, the moon was still doing what it does. Just like when we came here in captivity in America, we didn't know we was Israelites, but the new moon was still consistently going. So that calendar was always in place. It's not that Egypt gave us a calendar. No, our calendar was always in place. It's just we didn't understand it. And the Lord told us, like, yo, I'm gonna put y'all back on point with your calendar. This is it right here. All right. I'm gonna give you the calendar, the new moon. Boom. You start from there. All right. Then it got mixed up and changed and mangled with the Persian Empire. They started calling our calendar days by their heathenistic pagan names as well. All right, like Nisan, and what was the other one? Tammuz, and all these different demonic names. All right. But so you have those little stipulations up in there from Babylon and Medo-Persian Empire. But then with Julius Caesar, all right, he changed the calendar days with December, January, so on and so on. But then you have later on with Constantine, it was called the Edict of Milan, where he changed the Sabbath from Saturday and ordered it to be on Sundays. All right, so that's how the Sabbath got changed, which will ultimately change when people hold the Passover too. All right, because back in the Roman Empire, they used to go according to the moon, and then with Julius Caesar, they changed the calendars from going according to the harvest or harvest moon. They went according to the Julian calendar. All right. So that changed all of that, man. Matter of fact, let me get that. Daniel 7:25, then speaking about Esau, especially with Julius Caesar, around 45 BC, when they went to change the calendar. It says, and he shall speak great words against the Most High. And that's what they've done. And shall wear out the saints of the Most High, right, with the Roman Empire, Roman army. And think to change times and laws. So they changed the times, all right, and the laws. And they shall be given into his hand until a time and a dividing of time, meaning a long period of time. All right. Let me get this. All right. So the Lord established the moon for a sign of feast, a sign of seasons changing and harvest. And the sun, he set that up for its reasons in the book of Ezra. It explains that. But even within that, the Lord gave us the understanding of that and when to use it and how to use it. Just like you use a watch on your wrist. But these heathens, they use the moon and the stars and they worship it. All right. So to get back to the point, verse 2, it says, this month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year unto you. All right. So now skip down. Because it tells you how to keep the Passover. On the 10th day, you're supposed to get a lamb without blemish. And you separate it amongst the houses, right? So now let's get verse 5. Your lamb shall be without blemish, a male of the first year. And spiritually, today we have Yahushua, our male without blemish. Ye shall take it out from the sheep. And Yahushua was taken out from the sheep of the children of Israel. Or from the goats. And ye shall keep it up until the 14th day. All right? The 14th day. In the same month of the same month. And the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it in the evening. It was like a walking refrigerator. We'd keep the animals alive and have livestock, and that was considered wealth. Like Abraham, he was real wealthy. He had a lot of livestock, servants, gold and silver, right? Just like Job. Now it says, verse 7, and they shall take of the blood and strike it on the two side doorposts, on the upper doorpost. All right. There you go. I'm gonna read. Wherein they shall eat it, and they shall eat the flesh in that night. So what night? The 14th day of evening. At that night, because that's the night we got taken out of Egypt. So that same night, you're going to do this as well. And they shall eat the flesh in that night, roast with fire, not boiled, roasted with fire, and unleavened bread, and with bitter herbs they shall eat it. So you get some horseradish, or what ginger root. Those are two strong herbs. All right, spices. But he said what? Unleavened bread, man. So you put any leavening agents or rising agents inside the bread. All right, you eat brittle bread or whatever it is. So no yeast in it. All right. All right. So I'm gonna skip down to the point. Verse 11. And thus shall ye eat it with your loins girded, your shoes on your feet, and your staff in your hand. Not at some town hall, and you got Rakai singing. This guy singing and shit like Eddie Murphy. Anyway, I saw one Passover, they had like a concert, man. It was just madness, man. But anyway, it says, thus shall ye eat it with your loins girded, your shoes on your feet, and your staff in your hand, and ye shall eat it in haste. It is the Lord's Passover. All right. So in spirit, we are eating the word today in haste. All right. And with our loins girded and our shoes prepared for the gospel. Now it says, it is the Lord's Passover. See that night. For I will pass through the land of Egypt this night, whatever night that was, right, in the spring, at evening. The same night of the unleavened bread, they had to eat the bread with no leaven in it, no yeast, and will smite. They didn't have time, to add the rising agents in the bread, so they had to just grab it and go. And will smite all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both man and beast, and against all the gods of Egypt I will execute judgment. I am Yahweh. And the blood shall be for a token. All right, I'm gonna skip down so you get to the point. And this day shall be unto you for a memorial, and ye shall keep it a feast to Yahweh throughout your generations. So whatever you get regenerated back into this earth, right? And throughout your lineage, you're going to keep this Passover whenever you're back on this earth and able to keep it, right? And the children of Israel are going to continue to keep this Passover as long as we were awoken to it, all right? Or exposed to it by Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. Just like he awoke us to it when we came out of Egypt, calling it the Passover, when he passed over the children of Israel and destroyed the Egyptians. All right. So it says, ye shall keep it a feast by an ordinance forever. So today we rehearse the righteous acts to the best of our ability. But to teach false doctrine, yeah, you don't know when the Sabbath is. Yeah, you may keep it on Saturday, but you got to tell the truth that it's not according to Friday and Saturday. That's just when you keep it, though. You know, and can't nobody judge you in that, but he can judge you according to the scriptures and rebuke a person when they say, hey, the Sabbath is on Friday. The Sabbath is on Saturday. Well, Friday goes back to a pagan god named, or idol named Freya. Saturday goes back to the planet named Saturn, but from a pagan name. So we hold the Passover or the Sabbath according to the new moon, because the night of the Passover is a Sabbath as well. It's a day of rest. All right. So it says, verse 15, 7 days. There you go. And this is where the guy Rakai is going off at. He'll say the Passover was one night, and then the next night you start your 7 days or 14 days or whatever. And this guy was like, yeah, so that 14 days is crazy because you have the lockdown for 14 days. So there's going to be some major prophecies happening with the end. Shut up. This dude, man, he's like, I have so much to tell you. But first, we just got to get this whole thing together with you guys sending in your, he's trying to get money. He's trying to get money, man. He exposed himself by saying, I'm not trying to funnel you guys into some type of system or something. Yes, you are, because anyway, I'm going to just keep reading. Verse 15. 7 days shall ye eat unleavened bread. All right, so 7 days. Even the first day ye shall put away leaven out of your houses. So is it the next day after the Passover? No, it's the night of the Passover, the first day of the Passover. You're going to put unleavened out of the house. All right, not the next day, because then you'll be going off and you'll be cut off. The Lord said that night you're supposed to do it, or the day before. For it says, 7 days shall ye eat unleavened bread. All right, so 7 days. Not 7 days after. It's crazy, right? He beginning his calculations the day after the Passover. No, you're supposed to start the night of the Passover. All right, this dude shouldn't even be an elder, man. And his whole congregation is emotional. They don't talk about my elder. He a demon to me. I believe he's a deceiver. I don't care what nobody say. And he's a false prophet, man. He don't understand the scriptures. He's not sent by Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. He has an agenda. And he's fulfilling that agenda right in front of everybody's face. This thing is not about money. You're supposed to have other means of making money or finance. If people want to give you money, hey, they can do that. But he got his whole congregation set up on that. All right. Now it says this. 7 days shall ye eat unleavened bread, even the first day ye shall put away leaven out of your houses. For whosoever eateth leavened bread from the first day until the seventh day, that soul shall be cut off from Israel. So he got his whole congregation. If we were going according to that law, he keeping it wrong. But that's why the scriptures say, every idle word that men shall speak, they shall give account for in the day of judgment. So this is about the doctrine, and he's teaching false doctrine, telling people that the unleavened bread begins the day after the Passover. That's wrong. That's lying on the scriptures, just adding to the scriptures. It says, and in the first day, there shall be an holy convocation. That's the Sabbath. And in the seventh day, there should be a holy convocation. So that's all the way to the 21st day. Right? It adds up perfectly. 7 days. No manner of work shall be done in them, save that which every man must eat. That only may be done of you. And ye shall observe the feast of unleavened bread. For in this self same day have I brought your armies out of the land of Egypt. So it wasn't the next day. It was that night. So on that same day of unleavened bread, it's a cut right there, verse 17. Exodus 12 and 17. He can't get around that. On the self same day of what? The unleavened bread is the same day that he brought us out of Egypt. And that's the night of the Passover. It says, therefore, I'm going to read it again. And ye shall observe the feast of unleavened bread. For in this self same day have I brought your armies out of the land of Egypt. Therefore shall ye observe this day in your generations by an ordinance forever. In the first month, on the 14th day of the month, at evening, not the 15th day, the 14th day. All right, not the 15th day, the 14th day at evening, which is what? The Passover. In the first month, Abib, on the 14th day of the month at evening, ye shall eat unleavened bread until the 21st day of the month at evening. So Rakai got some answering to do. If you ask him to break down the unleavened bread, he's going to say it begins the 15th day, the day after the Passover. And then you start counting. But here the scriptures say, Exodus 12, in the first month, on the 14th day at evening, ye shall eat unleavened bread. All right, the 14th day is what? The Passover. So they're not separate, they're together the same day. 7 days shall there be no leaven found in your houses. For whosoever eateth that which is leavened, even that soul shall be cut off from the congregation of Israel, whether he be a stranger or born in the land. Ye shall eat nothing leavened in all your habitations. Ye shall eat unleavened bread. All right. And this dude, his whole doctrine is full of leaven. All right. So with that, I'm going to say, hey, man, choose wisely if y'all are in that congregation, and wake the hell up. So with that, I'm going to say, shalom.